after this epic intro, we are back on camera. I don't know what exactly happened. Wrong race.
Oh yeah, wrong race. He spawned as Terran. He forgot to change his race.
That happens a lot lately.
Yeah. I'm like, again, it's heaven. This is the Korean Observer. He's the one who starts the games. He should watch those. It's on him.
We have so many people walking behind us these days. Like
yeah.
Today is like the day, okay, who walks behind them next?
Yeah.
That was, of course, the former TSL coach, who's now an admin for GOMTV, currently here, and just checking with the players that everything is alright, telling them to do that. We have one guy in production just waving the entire time with his sheet, get out of the camera!
Yeah. Former TSL coach and current referee is very much a prankster at times. I'm not sure if that was intentional. I don't think so.
There's actually, like, if you guys know Kakao, there are Kakao games, and you basically share high score with your friends, and he will actually send you, like, in the middle of the night at 3 AM his newest high score to just brag about it and wake you up at 3 AM or whatever.
Yeah.
So
He's done it several times. We're finally in the game for real now.
Yeah, we're in the game. Game number 2, of course, here at the WCS Challenger League. We have a Terran versus Zerg, and starting to the bottom right in red is our Terran in the lead here for Team FX Open, the nine-tailed fox.
FXO GuMiho.
Alpha game in this series. And what a game it was.
Yeah, it was a very interesting opening for both and a little bit unconventional. But let's see what happens here on Belchavestic. Starting to the top left here in the 3rd round of the Challenger League, we have the Zerg player who needs to win this now.
SK Telecom T1 Su.
Su just trying to do a big Ling attack, but all of his Lings got cleaned up. If the Hellions hadn't microed well and he'd kill all the Hellions, maybe he could have forced the lift on the Command Center. But then later, when he went for his second big attack with the Banelings and Baneling speed, GuMiho's defense was just too strong for him.
You know, if GuMiho doesn't start with his Reapers but goes into a Marine build, then Su makes him look very, very silly. Because then those Zerglings early on will do a lot of damage and delay that base, and suddenly it's a completely different game. But that was quite the gamble from Su, and I was a little bit unimpressed in general in this game. Not because he played bad, but because I expected so much from a player that has an 88% win ratio in this matchup. Didn't lose a single map except for the one that he lost against Flash in his first Heart of the Swarm game against Zerg. So I expected a little bit more there. But he played very resilient, and GuMiho, once he had the lead, never really lost that advantage. He always made sure that he would maintain it.
It was like Su was playing really well, but he had one hand tied behind his back just because his build did not do the damage he wanted it to do. And I think if we see a more standard game from him in Game 2 here, we're likely to see that skill that really gives him that win ratio in the matchup.
And that's exactly what he does now, as we already expected. Going into a very traditional build here, starting with the hatch first and then going into the pool. That's of course something that GuMiho will identify very early on. He's going for the same Reaper build that we saw him execute in game number 1, which will give him a lot of vision here, will give him the information that he needs. And he's dropping his command center even on the low ground behind this.
Yeah, just talking about that last game a little bit, I wonder if Su did this build because he studied a lot of GuMiho's games, some of his televised matches, and noticed that he had some weaknesses to big Ling, Baneling attacks because he doesn't wall all the time early enough, or doesn't like to make bunkers, because GuMiho can be in the mid-game a very greedy player. Just probably some ideas going into this one for sure.
There are a couple of builds where I am looking at the builds and it does only make sense if you really think you're mind gaming your opponent. One of the things that Alive in the RSL matches against MMA yesterday did twice was play a 10 pull against Terran, and I'm not a fan of a 10 pull against Terran. I actually don't like that build at all, because you gamble that your opponent doesn't only go into command center first, but goes into command center first on the low ground. And if he doesn't do that and just starts with the CC first on the high ground and puts it as part of his wall, your 10 pull is not going to do anything at all. So if you go for an early pull, it has to be faster than that, so that you can force the cancel on the command center, which is possible, or you just go into a normal build. But that is just taking such a huge risk. You can do that maybe against Marine King, but not against anyone else.
Exactly. You know, it's basically, might as well be going for a 6 or a 7 pull if you're going to do that against some players. The Ling here gets into the main base. This is really annoying. He gets to scout everything, which at this point he sees only what he would have already expected. But still, now he can confirm 100%.
Well, GuMiho now, of course, needs to win one more map, and looking at this, the opening for him, once again, like pretty solid. The Reaper's still alive, giving him the information that he needs, wants to see potential move-outs as well. And it's a little bit tougher on a map like Belchavestic to make that Reaper really worth the money, because hopping into the main base is not that easy. And that's exactly what Su is trying to shut down here. But nice for GuMiho. Gets in and he's able to see gas number 1, and he actually spots gas number 2 as well. Really well done. That Reaper with its last breath was actually able to pull that off.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to escape even.
Yeah, the Queen is not in position.
Oh, but Cutter, what he does not see is the 2 gases at the natural. He does not know about that, but they hear the Hellion see. Yeah. Nicely done. That's really, really good scout here.
That was really, really well done. GuMiho, of course, trying to sneak in and maybe even doing some damage, but once he spotted the Queen, he's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do anything yet, but at least I know that you took double gas, so I'm going to be safe.
He's taken a really greedy 3rd command center after scouting this, even putting it on the low ground to start. That's actually crazy what he's doing. He runs in with the Hellions, gets in again.
Yeah, gets in, and this time he's trying to do some damage, and he actually gets a fair amount of those harvesters.
Oh my god, he blinds them up. He's going to get even more.
Su!
He could get even 2 more. Oh my god, he's going to get maybe even 1 more.
What is Su doing here? 10 harvesters lost. Oh my god. That was, let's just say, not good.
Yeah.
10 harvesters lost, that is incredible with just this small amount of Hellions that we've seen. You know, touching on the command center, by the way, this is of course, yeah, implying a little bit greedy, but he's trying to hide that. Yeah. This was never seen, and the Overlord that is at the bottom left expects, of course, a CC at some point down there. So this might not be scouted for quite some time.
Exactly. The Overlord that's really close to the CC is going to go south to check in the main base for the command center. It's not going to check the actual base. And during all of this, GuMiho puts so much pressure on with his Hellions that now Su has to re-drone instead of making attacking units. So he knows, GuMiho that is, he knows that he's not going to be under pressure by a ground attack for a long time.
And of course the strategy that Su tried to execute here is a 2-base build into Mutalisks. We see the Spire on the production tab now. A 3rd base to follow this up. And at this point, GuMiho, Su by the way was supply block for a couple of seconds there, but at this point GuMiho still pretty decent. Going into +1/+1, doesn't really have his tech out just yet. That's the downside of his build. He's currently going into the starport, but he's starting with his Widow Mines. The question really being, can he defend this 3rd base? Because it is scouted by now. The Overlord double-checked because he was like, I cannot make head or tails of this. You don't have a 3rd base just yet. How is that possible? And then he moves in with the Overlord and sees it. So this base is very exposed to a potential Mutaling Baneling threat.
Yeah, it's true. See how many mutas we come out at first. Looks like it's going to be about 6 or 7. Maybe even getting an 8th one out. But GuMiho is really, really nice with his upgrades. But I have to say, Su, I don't understand why he's not getting double upgrades right now. Did he misclick because he's only getting the armor one? Does he not have 2? He has 2 evolution chambers. Just one of those small mistakes. He's not impressing me today.
He might have misclicked. He might have not have enough like gas when he started it. I don't know, but I don't think this is intentional. Only getting the armor upgrade at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes you only get the armor at the beginning because you're not quite sure what kind of transition you go in, which kind of unit composition you use, and you want to get your scouting information first. But we're long past this point, so that doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah, he's... I just can't imagine he's doing this just because he wants to get 1 extra muta out. Now he starts the attack, so very clearly forgotten here. The muta's not going to do too much, actually, with this bunker here, as long as the micro is good from GuMiho.
Yeah, the bunker is a great choice here at this point. You can even just use those Marines to dart in, because the Mutalisks are going to try to bounce. And, yep, that's exactly what we see here. So far, pretty cool game for GuMiho. Su is in a position where he has the Mutalisks on the map, and he will force a couple of missile turrets from GuMiho. Yeah, but for Su it's really important to get his 4th base now up, and also let's see how much damage he can do with those. If the Mutalisks are controlled well, so far I actually like his unit control here a lot, he could really pressure GuMiho and maybe get the lead.
Yeah, he's actually starting to take away the hit points of this command center. Bounce damage is damaging the bunker as well. The SCVs can't really repair because they're going to get hit by bounce damage and maybe be taken out here. I like that choice a lot, to just kind of stim there. He's doing little things to buy himself time, but the mutas have basically made GuMiho's base unmineable for a really long time. He's also really, really heavily damaged it.
Yep, and he also put the pressure on the Terran and therefore has a bit more breathing room to the top left of the map, where we see now the 4th base coming in. But we have a scout in the main base once more.
Yeah, there's a drop with 2 Widow Mines here, and they could get excellent connects on those drones. One kills some larva, the second one good splits against it.
Yeah, controlled here. Yeah, it's a couple of Zerglings, but the Medivac now going down. And this is all... Oh, here come those Hellions again, and he's lining them up. There they are, clustered, but the Zerglings, at least this time, are able to get this around. But 20 harvesters killed in total, so after the initial attack, he killed another 10 now. And GuMiho is basically like, Hellbat who?
Yeah.
I don't need those guys. I'll play the Wings of Liberty style. I'll just get my good old Hellions out there and they will do the damage.
And even using the Widow Mines in the drop in the main base is really cute, and he saved them. They were not detected by that Overseer. This time not controlled either by GuMiho, but just little annoyances like this forcing the units to come back, and he may have even saved the second one.
So much mining time lost.
Yeah. GuMiho just constantly putting the pressure on. This is what I talked about when I was talking earlier about his skill. He has the potential to do so much damage with his drops. It's what he's known for.
But the 2-2 is now in the production tab for Su, and even though Su lost a lot of economy here, he's still in a decent spot. He's getting a very strong army out in the field now. And GuMiho, he does not have this massive advantage that, as you would think just watching these games. He's been the one who has been calling the shots so far, but he also forgot a little bit about his upgrades to maintain those. And suddenly it is Su who has the upgrade lead here with a nearly completed +2 armor upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. He's really pushing those out. GuMiho has killed so many Overlords in this best of 3 so far. He's going to get another one here. So seems to be struggling to make those sometimes. He's getting the very important Overlord speed, which is going to help him deal with the Widow Mines a lot better, because that's one problem he's been having in this game. And we saw this last game as well, just not really able to save his Overlords against that final attack. GuMiho, if he gets in this position in between the rocks and this is the choke point with the Siege Tank, he can do so much. We very rarely see Siege Tanks in this matchup, but on this map, they're the best.
Yeah, the Siege Tank here is really good, and now we have once again those Marines babysitting the tanks, the good old Wings of Liberty style. The Mutalisks trying to just bounce between the Marines and the tanks, moving in now as we speak. Banelings into the tanks, not the best trade here, but finally forcing those Marines back, and the Mutalisks immediately take the charge, take down the tanks and the rest of the Marines alike. And as you can see, the supply shifting. We have the advantage now for Su.
I think GuMiho overstepped his boundaries a little bit in that last engagement. He moved his tanks and his Marines so far in, and he just got flanked. He only had 2 tanks there. Really nice engagement by Su. And GuMiho is paying for it. Now he doesn't have any map control. The Zerg's on 4 bases. Continuing out the upgrades, gets +2 for Mutas now.
I would really like to see Su with an Infestation Pit now. He already gets the +2 attack upgrade for the Mutalisks, and I like this a lot. Even the Spine Crawler, so that he is a little bit safer with his defense. And of course he wants to get rid of a few of his drones. He was at more than 80, I think up at 285. But at this point in time, there's the Infestation Pit. God, I love this. He's going into the Infestation Pit pretty fast so that he gets the Hive Tech out. He will fall behind in upgrades if GuMiho hits 3-3 after 2-2 finishes, but he still has it at a decent time.
Yeah. Good splits on these Marines here so far, but the Banelings are coming in. The units from the back, though, catch the Mutas. He splits the Banelings into 2 directions. This is not what Su wants, but actually, GuMiho at the last second really messing up his micro. Baits into the Siege Tank.
Another hit against the Banelings, potentially. No, the Siege Tank already down, but we still have a bunker in the mineral line. And GuMiho is just fighting to keep himself alive here, but suddenly he's down 70 supply, and this base is going down. The Mutalisks are already taking away the hit points. The Marines can't save it. There are still too many Zerglings, and GuMiho is restricted to 2 bases against a 4-base Zerg player who's going into Hive Tech.
And GuMiho just doesn't have any room to work with here. He's starting to lose the last of his Marines and his medevacs right now. He may type out at any second because he has no foothold in this game anymore. Lost his CC. And Su just continues the aggression. There's no bunkers, there's no wall here.
GG, and game over. Su equalizes the score, and this was a much better performance than what we've seen in game number 1. Forgot one of his upgrades a little bit earlier with the double evolution chamber, but if you disregard that, very good decision making, good timings here, and that was much more indicative of what we've seen from him in the past. So he brings it to a 3rd game. And GuMiho, let's see what he can do on map number 3, if he's going to advance to the Premier League or if Su is going back.
Yep, Choya sticking his head in the booth, talking to him for just a moment here. Choya always really supportive of his players. I cannot think of a time Choya has not been at the studio when one of his players is playing. And of course today he has 2 of them, if we're not playing a little bit later. But that kind of support can really, really help you out in a tense situation when you kind of... I don't want to say GuMiho got stomped in that last game, but he took one bad engagement, and from then on he lost all foothold. And that could be frustrating.
It's time to go to the beach, by the way.
Yeah, Wangali Beach, that is. So there's our next map, our final map in this best of 3. Whoever wins this game will go directly to the Premier League next season. The loser has to play in the up and downs just like everybody else who lost, even in the second round, just like the players they just beat to get here. So this is the most important game, this is the most important moment in the Challenger League.
Yeah, so let's see what they can pull off here. Talking about the players that they beat, GuMiho took out 2 Protoss players on his way to the 3rd round. Su, of course, dropped down from the Premier League. This is the only map that he has to, or the only game that he has to win in the Challenger League if he wants to go back to the Premier League. Game number 3 is loading, guys. This will decide which one of those two on screen is going to advance. GuMiho with the early lead in the best of 3, but Su equalizing the score. And we are jumping now into map number 3 on Dolly Beach at the WCS Challenger League with Power and Wolf.
You gotta get